Keir Starmer's leadership of the Labour Party is precarious, with every action he takes seemingly exacerbating the chaos around him. His attempts to stabilise the situation are backfiring dramatically, as internal critics become more vocal and his mistakes accumulate. Instead of uniting the party, Starmer's choices are alienating MPs, fracturing Labour's already delicate coalition, and leaving voters feeling disillusioned. A political crisis is unfolding in real time, and time is running out. Starmer's focus on international matters has proven to be a significant miscalculation, particularly his ill-fated bet on Kamala Harris winning the US presidency. By tying Labour's future to her campaign, he has shown a lack of attention to pressing domestic issues that resonate with British voters. With Trump making an unexpected resurgence, Starmer finds himself unprepared and without a backup plan. The consequences are severe. Labour MPs are outraged, UK-US relations are strained, and Starmer's credibility has taken a substantial hit. His fixation on international alliances has not only backfired but also revealed a lack of strategic planning, leaving Labour struggling to tackle both domestic and global challenges. The defence issue is another significant vulnerability. NATO's urgent call for increased defence spending to address potential threats from Russia has largely been ignored by Starmer's Labour. His proposed spending target of 2.5% of GDP fails to meet NATO's 3% standard, provoking outrage among his own MPs. Calvin Bailey, a Labour MP and former RAF officer, has been particularly vocal, advocating for stronger defence ties with Europe and criticising the party's reluctance to address national security. Starmer's neglect of defence priorities amid rising global tensions has left the UK appearing unprepared and his leadership looking increasingly weak. The appointments to the House of Lords have further fuelled the fire. Starmer's plan to add 30 new Labour peers to an institution he once promised to abolish feels hypocritical. This blatant power move has been met with disdain from his own MPs, who view it as a desperate effort to consolidate power rather than a meaningful step toward reform. The backlash has been swift and harsh, with critics accusing Starmer of sacrificing his principles for short-term political gain. This strategy has not only undermined his credibility but also underscored the widening gap between his leadership and the party's core values. Starmer's inconsistency on key issues is further eroding trust. His reversal on compensation for WASPy women, citing taxpayer burdens, has sparked outrage among MPs and voters alike. Once an advocate for their cause, Starmer's sudden shift has left many feeling betrayed. Similarly, his backtracking on immigration policy, especially his focus on enhancing domestic skills to decrease net migration, has been met with skepticism. These inconsistencies portray a leader willing to abandon promises and principles at the first hint of trouble, alienating both his party and the public. Desperation is increasingly evident, with Starmer's frantic efforts to maintain control becoming transparent. From personal favours to policy shifts, he's trying various tactics to find what resonates. However, nothing seems to be effective. His promises come off as insincere, his strategies appear cynical, and his leadership feels fundamentally lacking. Labour MPs are becoming restless, with some even calling for a no-confidence vote, which requires signatures from 40% of the party's MPs. Though the threshold is high, the rising discontent suggests it may not be out of reach. Whispers of rebellion are growing louder, and Starmer's position is looking more precarious by the day. The internal power struggle within Labour is heating up. Ambitious MPs are circling, eager to capitalise on Starmer's struggles. Alliances are forming behind closed doors, and speculation about potential leadership contenders is rife. Public dissent is also on the rise, with MPs openly criticising Starmer's decisions in Parliament and through the media. The backlash over the WASPy women compensation issue has become a rallying point for discontent. Labour MPs are no longer keeping their frustrations private, they are voicing their concerns, and Starmer is running out of time to address them. Even Starmer's attempts to secure loyalty are failing. Offers of lucrative positions, campaign funding, and peerages might have been effective in the past, but Labour MPs are seeing through these tactics. These attempts are met with scepticism and outright disdain, further undermining Starmer's authority. Once trust is lost, regaining it is challenging, and his increasingly desperate measures are only widening the rift within his party. It's a vicious cycle. The more he tries to garner support, the more he alienates those he aims to win over. Labour's internal communications have shifted into crisis mode. Emergency meetings, urgent memos, and calls for unity are now standard practice. However, these efforts are having the opposite effect, revealing just how precarious Starmer's position has become. His frantic attempts to prevent MPs from leaving are making him appear weak and desperate, a leader who has lost control of his party and is struggling to stay above water. The perception of weakness is perilous in politics, and right now, Starmer is giving off the unmistakable impression of a leader on the brink. The departure of key allies from Starmer's inner circle is another troubling sign. High-profile resignations are shaking the foundations of Labour, and the exits of rising stars within the party are particularly alarming. These departures send a clear message: Starmer's leadership is no longer tenable. The atmosphere within the party is one of uncertainty and anxiety, with MPs contemplating their options and considering whether to leave before it's too late. Each resignation weakens Labour's unity, leaving the party looking increasingly fractured and its leader more isolated. The path ahead for Keir Starmer is fraught with challenges. With his approval ratings plummeting, MPs in open revolt, and his leadership credibility in tatters, the signs are clear. Labour stands at a crossroads, and its future is uncertain. Whether Starmer can navigate this crisis or if he is destined to become another casualty of Labour's leadership struggles remains to be seen. However, one thing is certain: the pressure is mounting, and time is running out. For Keir Starmer, the coming weeks will be critical.